What if everything you thought you knew about death was wrong? What if ancient civilizations possess knowledge about the afterlife so terrifying, so profound, that it was deliberately hidden from us? Right now, beneath your feet, lies a network of forgotten tunnels, chambers, and sacred spaces that once served as gateways between our world and the realm of the dead. These aren't just old burial sites. These are sophisticated systems designed by ancient engineers who understood something about death that we've completely lost. Something so shocking that powerful institutions have spent centuries making sure you never learn the truth. Every culture on Earth has stories about an underworld. The Greeks called it Hades. The Egyptians knew it as Duat. The Maya spoke of Xibalba. But here's what they don't teach you in school. These weren't just myths. They were instruction manuals, ancient blueprints for navigating a very real dimension that exists parallel to our own. For thousands of years, secret societies, religious institutions, and governments have worked together to bury this knowledge. Why? Because if people understood the true nature of death and what lies beyond, it would fundamentally change how we live. It would shift the entire balance of power on this planet. Tonight, we're going to expose 25 secrets about the ancient underworld that have been hidden from humanity for millennia. We'll journey through forgotten catacombs beneath major cities, explore burial chambers that predate known civilization, and uncover evidence of technology so advanced it challenges everything we believe about our ancestors. But I must warn you, once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. The world will never look the same again. Secret number 1, the global underground network. Our first secret takes us deep beneath the surface of the Earth, where a shocking discovery awaits. Did you know that every major ancient civilization built extensive underground complexes that mirror each other in design, despite being separated by thousands of miles and centuries of time? In Turkey, the underground city of Derinkuyu extends 11 levels deep and could house 20,000 people. In Egypt, beneath the Giza Plateau, ground-penetrating radar has revealed chambers and tunnels that dwarf the known pyramid complexes. In Peru, the Incas carved underground temples so precisely that not even a knife blade can fit between the stones. In China, the Western Han Dynasty created subterranean palaces that remain largely unexplored to this day. But here's the part that will make your skin crawl. These underground networks weren't built for storage or hiding from enemies. They were designed as interfaces with the underworld itself. Each complex contains specific architectural features that appear in every other underground system across the globe. Spiral staircases that descend in groups of 7, chambers with acoustic properties that amplify certain frequencies, and ventilation systems that create air currents in patterns that match ancient descriptions of souls moving through the afterlife. The most disturbing evidence comes from recent archaeological surveys. Using modern scanning technology, researchers have discovered that these underground complexes are connected by natural cave systems and artificial tunnels spanning entire continents. What our ancestors built wasn't just individual sites. It was a global network designed to access something that exists beneath our reality. The question that keeps archaeologists awake at night is simple. How did ancient civilizations, with no contact between them, create identical systems for communicating with the dead? The answer leads us to our second secret. Secret number 2, the builders from below. Who taught our ancestors how to build these underground gateways? The answer isn't what you'd expect, and it challenges the very foundation of human history. In every ancient text that describes the construction of underworld complexes, the builders are never human. The Sumerian tablets speak of the Anunnaki emerging from the depths to share knowledge with mankind. Egyptian hieroglyphs describe beings called the Neteru, who came from the Duat to establish the first dynasties. Hindu texts mention the Nagas, serpent beings who lived beneath the earth and taught humans the secrets of death and rebirth. Modern archaeology has uncovered evidence that supports these ancient accounts in ways that make mainstream historians extremely uncomfortable. In Bolivia, at the site of Pumapunku, massive stone blocks weighing over 100 tons were cut and fitted with a precision that surpasses modern capabilities. The cutting patterns show evidence of tools that could slice through granite like butter, yet no such tools have ever been found in the archaeological record. In Egypt, the precision of the underground chambers beneath the Sphinx has led some researchers to conclude that the cutting was done by technology far beyond what ancient Egyptians supposedly possessed. The walls show signs of being carved by machines that could cut perfect 90-degree angles in solid bedrock, while creating acoustic chambers tuned to specific frequencies. But the most compelling evidence comes from a discovery that has been kept secret for over 50 years. In 1972, construction workers in Romania accidentally broke through into an underground chamber while building subway tunnels beneath Bucharest. What they found inside defied explanation: sophisticated machinery built from materials that don't exist in nature, along with hieroglyphic instructions for operating what appeared to be communication dev. The Romanian government immediately classified the discovery and sealed the chamber. But according to leaked documents, the hieroglyphs weren't Egyptian, Sumerian, or from any known human civilization. They were identical to symbols found carved deep within sacred underground sites around the world. Symbols that describe the technology for opening doorways between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Secret number 3. The sound of death. Every ancient underworld complex was built around one crucial element that modern science is only beginning to understand: sound. But this wasn't just acoustics for better hearing. It was sonic technology designed to alter human consciousness and open pathways to other dimensions. The Egyptians called it the voice of the dead. The Greeks referred to it as the Song of Hades. Indigenous cultures worldwide speak of sacred sounds that could summon spirits and allow communication with ancestors. What they all discovered was the same terrifying truth: specific frequencies can literally tear holes in the fabric of reality. In the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, researchers have measured infrasonic frequencies at 110 Hz, the exact frequency that shuts down the language center of the human brain and induces altered states of consciousness. The chamber beneath the temple of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza produces acoustic effects that make human voices sound like the call of the Quetzal bird, which the Maya believed carried messages between worlds. But the most disturbing discovery came from a joint expedition between Stanford University and the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism in 2019. Using sensitive recording equipment, researchers detected sounds emanating from deep within the underground chambers beneath the Giza Plateau. These weren't echoes or structural settling. They were organized patterns of sound that matched no known natural phenomenon. The recordings, which have never been released to the public, reportedly contain what sounds like voices speaking in languages that predate all known human speech. Some researchers who heard the recordings claimed they could understand the words despite never learning the language, as if the sounds bypassed normal hearing and spoke directly to some deeper part of consciousness. Even more unsettling, every person who spent extended time listening to these underground sounds reported the same side effect: vivid dreams of descending through dark passages and meeting beings that claimed to be their deceased relatives. Many describe these dreams as being more real than waking life, leading to the disturbing question of whether the sounds were actually opening doorways between dimensions in the listeners' minds. Secret number 4, the mystery of global catacombs. Beneath Rome lies a network of catacombs stretching for over 600 miles. Beneath Paris, the ancient quarries have been converted into ossuaries, holding the remains of over 6 million people. Beneath Prague, underground passages connect dozens of buildings across the medieval city. But here's what they don't tell you about these underground cities. They weren't built by the civilizations that claim them. Carbon dating of organic materials found in the deepest levels of catacombs worldwide consistently returns dates that are thousands of years older than the cultures that supposedly built them. In Rome, sections of the catacombs contain architectural features that predate Roman civilization by millennia. In Paris, the deepest tunnels show tool marks that don't match any known Roman or medieval techniques. The most shocking evidence comes from the catacombs of San Callisto in Rome. In 2003, during routine restoration work, archaeologists broke through a wall and discovered a chamber that contained technology that shouldn't exist. The room held what appeared to be a sophisticated ventilation system made from materials that modern science couldn't identify. The system was still functioning after potentially thousands of years, maintaining perfect air circulation throughout the entire catacomb network. But the discovery that truly terrified researchers was found in the deepest accessible level of the Paris catacombs. Hidden behind a wall of carefully arranged skulls, explorers found a chamber containing what can only be described as an ancient computer, made from a crystalline material that doesn't appear in nature. The device was covered in symbols that matched those found in underground sites across 6 different continents. When researchers attempted to activate the device using various energy sources, it began producing the same infrasonic frequencies found in other ancient underworld sites. But this device did something else that defied explanation. It projected 3-dimensional images of star maps showing constellations as they appeared thousands of years ago, with specific emphasis on stars that ancient cultures associated with the realm of the dead. The discovery was immediately classified by European authorities, and the chamber was sealed with concrete. But leaked reports suggest that the device wasn't just displaying star maps. It was showing real-time images of spacecraft moving between those stars, suggesting that our ancestors' connection to the underworld might have been far more literal than anyone imagined. Secret number 5. The Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day. Everyone knows about the Egyptian Book of the Dead, but that's not actually what the Egyptians called it. They called it Reu Nu Pert Mhru, the Book of Coming Forth by Day. This wasn't just a guide for the afterlife. It was an instruction manual for traveling between dimensions while still alive. The real Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day contains detailed maps of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, complete with geographic coordinates, dimensional gateways, and warnings about entities that guard the passages between worlds. But here's what Egyptologists don't want you to know. These maps correspond exactly to the layout of the underground tunnel systems beneath the Giza Plateau. In 1998, a team of researchers led by Dr. Zahi Hawass used ground-penetrating radar to map the underground chambers beneath the Sphinx and pyramids. What they discovered matched the Duat maps in the Book of Coming Forth by Day with terrifying accuracy. Every passage, every chamber, every warning about dangerous areas in the spiritual realm had a corresponding physical location in the underground complex. But the most disturbing revelation came from translation work done on recently discovered papyri. These texts, found in a sealed chamber beneath a temple in Saqqara, contained advanced versions of the Book of Coming Forth by Day that included technological specifications. The papyri described devices for amplifying psychic energy, methods for preserving consciousness outside the physical body, and detailed instructions for what they called the Great Crossing, permanently moving one's consciousness into the realm of the dead while leaving the physical body behind. Even more shocking, these texts describe successful expeditions into the Duat undertaken by living pharaohs who returned with knowledge and technology from the realm of the dead. They speak of entire workshops in the underworld, where beings craft tools and weapons that can affect both physical and spiritual reality. The most terrifying passage describes what the Egyptians called the final revelation, the discovery that what we call death is actually birth into a reality so advanced that our current existence appears primitive by comparison. According to these texts, the beings who inhabit the Duat have been trying to teach humans how to make this transition consciously. But forces in our world have been actively suppressing this knowledge to maintain control over humanity. Secret number 6, the Mayan Death Lords of Xibalba. The Maya civilization possessed the most detailed and terrifying descriptions of the underworld ever recorded. They called it Xibalba, the place of fear, and their texts describe it not as a realm of the dead, but as a parallel dimension populated by highly intelligent beings who could manipulate both matter and consciousness. The Popol Vuh, the Mayan creation myth, tells the story of the hero twins who journeyed to Xibalba to challenge the Death Lords. But recent archaeological discoveries suggest this wasn't mythology. It was historical documentation of actual interdimensional travel undertaken by Mayan rulers. In Guatemala, beneath the ancient city of El Mirador, archaeologists have discovered a structural complex that exactly matches the descriptions of Xibalba found in Mayan texts. The complex contains chambers designed to replicate the trials described in the Popol Vuh, complete with mechanisms for testing courage, intelligence, and spiritual development. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. The complex is still active. Motion sensors installed by researchers detect movement in the deepest chambers, despite the fact that no humans have entered those areas for over 1,000 years. Temperature readings show that certain chambers maintain temperatures that are impossible given their depth and the surrounding geology. The most shocking discovery came in 2015, when a team of archaeologists broke through into a previously unknown section of the complex. Inside, they found evidence of recent habitation, stone furniture that showed signs of wear, food preparation areas with organic residue that carbon dated to within the last 50 years. And most disturbing of all, modern manufactured items including plastic containers and electronic components. Local indigenous guides who assisted with the excavation refused to enter certain chambers, claiming they could hear voices speaking in ancient Mayan dialects. When researchers set up recording equipment in these areas, they captured hours of conversation in languages that linguists confirmed were archaic forms of Mayan that haven't been spoken for centuries. The conversations, according to translation attempts, discuss current world events and make references to the time of return, when the barriers between Xibalba and the surface world will dissolve completely. The most chilling aspect is that the voices demonstrate knowledge of modern technology and current political situations, suggesting that whatever inhabits these chambers has been monitoring our world for a very long time. Secret number 7. The Chinese Yellow Springs. Ancient Chinese texts describe the Yellow Springs, Huangquan, as the realm where all souls journey after death. But Chinese emperors didn't just believe in the Yellow Springs. They built elaborate underground complexes designed to access them while still alive, and the technology they used was far more advanced than anything attributed to ancient Chinese civilization. The tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, famous for the terracotta army, sits above an underground complex that has never been fully explored. According to historical records, the emperor's burial chamber contains rivers of mercury, mechanical crossbows that still function after 2,000 years, and a ceiling decorated with stars made from precious gems that somehow produce their own light. But ground-penetrating radar reveals that the emperor's tomb is just the tip of an iceberg. Beneath the known burial chamber lies a network of passages and rooms that extends deep into the earth, following the same spiral pattern found in underworld complexes worldwide. Chinese authorities have refused to allow full excavation, claiming they're protecting the archaeological site, but leaked government documents suggest a different reason. In 1974, the same year the terracotta army was discovered, Chinese military engineers detected unusual electromagnetic readings from deep within the complex. When they investigated, they found chambers containing what appeared to be advanced machinery made from materials that don't exist in nature. The devices showed no signs of age, despite being sealed for over 2,000 years, and some appeared to still be functioning. The most disturbing discovery was a chamber containing what Chinese researchers described as a communication center. Dozens of crystalline devices arranged in a pattern that matched ancient Chinese star charts. When accidentally activated during the investigation, the devices began transmitting signals that were detected by radio telescopes around the world. The signals contained mathematical patterns that seemed to be attempting communication, but they weren't coming from space. They were originating from deep beneath the earth. Even more unsettling, the signals were answered. Radio telescopes detected responses coming from similar underground locations around the globe, as if the Emperor's tomb was part of a worldwide network of communication devices that had been dormant for centuries and were suddenly waking up. Chinese authorities immediately classified all information about the discovery and sealed the chamber with concrete. But according to leaked reports, the communication between underground sites continues, and the frequency of transmissions is increasing each year. Secret number 8. The Nordic realm of Hell, Norse mythology, describes Hell as a realm beneath the earth, ruled by a goddess who was half living and half corpse. In Norway, beneath the ancient site of Uppsala, archaeologists have discovered a complex of chambers that matches Norse descriptions of hell with shocking accuracy. The complex contains halls carved from solid rock, with ceilings so high they disappear into darkness, and acoustic properties that make whispers audible across vast distances. But the most disturbing aspect of the Uppsala complex is that it shows signs of continuous habitation spanning thousands of years. Carbon dating of organic materials found throughout the site reveals a consistent pattern of human presence from the Viking era to the present day. Someone or something has been living in these underground halls for over a millennium. The discovery that sent shockwaves through the archaeological community came in 2018, when researchers exploring the deepest accessible levels of the complex found a chamber containing what can only be described as a library. Thousands of stone tablets covered in runic inscriptions lined the walls, but these weren't ancient artifacts. Many showed signs of recent carving, with some appearing to have been created within the last few decades. The tablets contain information that shouldn't exist. Detailed accounts of historical events that occurred after the fall of Viking civilization. Descriptions of modern technology explained in ancient Norse terms. And most disturbing of all, prophecies about future events that have already come true with terrifying accuracy. Local Sami guides who assisted with the excavation confirmed what researchers were reluctant to admit. The underground chambers are still inhabited. They report seeing lights moving in the deeper passages, hearing voices echoing from areas that are supposedly sealed off, and finding evidence of recent fires and food preparation in chambers that haven't been officially entered for decades. The most chilling discovery came when researchers set up motion-activated cameras in the deepest accessible chambers. The footage showed humanoid figures moving through the passages at night, but these weren't modern humans. They matched medieval descriptions of the inhabitants of Hell, tall, pale beings who moved with unnatural grace and seemed to glow with their own internal light. Norwegian authorities have restricted access to the site, claiming safety concerns. But leaked documents suggest they're more concerned about what might come out than what might go in. Secret number 9, the Aboriginal Dreamtime portals. Australian Aboriginal cultures speak of the Dreamtime not as ancient history, but as a parallel dimension that can be accessed through sacred sites across the continent. What they don't tell tourists is that many of these sites contain underground chambers that function as literal doorways between realities. Uluru, the famous red rock formation in Australia's centre, is considered one of the most sacred Aboriginal sites. But beneath Uluru lies a network of natural caves and artificial chambers that Aboriginal elders describe as the breathing holes of the earth serpent, portals through which ancestral spirits move between the dreamtime and the physical world. In the 1980s, Australian government surveyors mapping the underground structure of Uluru discovered chambers that defied geological explanation. These perfectly circular rooms were carved into solid sandstone, with a precision that would be difficult to achieve even with modern tools. Yet Aboriginal oral tradition insists they existed before humans arrived in Australia over 60,000 years ago. The most disturbing discovery came when researchers placed recording equipment in these chambers. The recordings captured sounds that shouldn't exist in underground caverns. Wind moving through passages that lead nowhere, water flowing where no water source exists, and most unsettling of all, what sounds like human voices speaking in the ancient Aboriginal language that predates all known dialects. Aboriginal elders who heard the recordings were visibly shaken. They confirmed that the voices were speaking in the old language, the original human speech that they claim was taught to their ancestors by beings from the Dreamtime. But according to traditional knowledge, this language was supposed to be used only during sacred ceremonies and only by initiated elders. Hearing it spoken in empty caves suggested that the ceremonies were still continuing without human participants. Even more disturbing, the voices on the recordings demonstrated knowledge of current events and made references to the coming change, when the barriers between the Dreamtime and the physical world would dissolve. The speakers seemed to know they are being recorded and directly address the researchers by name, despite the fact that the recording equipment had been placed in the chambers secretly. The Australian government has since restricted access to these chambers, citing protection of Aboriginal sacred sites. But leaked reports suggest that the recordings continue and that the voices are now speaking in English, describing advanced technology and making predictions about future events that government analysts have classified as national security concerns. Secret number 10. The Tibetan Bardo Thodol Technology. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, properly called the Bardo Thodol, isn't just spiritual guidance for the afterlife. It's a technical manual for consciousness transfer technology that Tibetan monks have been secretly developing for over 1,000 years. High in the Himalayas, in monasteries that don't appear on any official maps, Tibetan lamas practice techniques for projecting consciousness outside the physical body and maintaining awareness through the death process. But recent discoveries suggest these aren't just meditation practices. They involve technology that Western science is only beginning to understand. In 2016, a team of neuroscientists from Harvard Medical School were granted unprecedented access to study advanced Tibetan meditation practitioners. What they discovered challenged everything modern science believes about consciousness and death. Using advanced brain imaging equipment, they found that experienced lamas could completely shut down normal brain activity while maintaining full awareness, a state that should be impossible according to current neuroscience. But the most shocking discovery came when researchers were allowed to study the deepest levels of certain Tibetan monasteries. Hidden beneath meditation halls, they found chambers containing what can only be described as consciousness amplification technology. Crystalline formations arranged in precise geometric patterns created electromagnetic fields that enhanced psychic abilities and allowed practitioners to project their awareness across vast distances. The technology appeared to be ancient, predating the establishment of Buddhism in Tibet, yet it showed no signs of age or deterioration. When researchers attempted to understand how the devices worked, they discovered that the crystals weren't naturally occurring minerals. They were artificially created using processes that modern science cannot replicate. Even more disturbing, the monks demonstrated the technology's capabilities under controlled laboratory conditions. Experienced practitioners used the devices to project their consciousness into sealed chambers located miles away, accurately describing the contents despite having no physical access to the locations. Some claimed to project their awareness into the bardo, the intermediate state between death and rebirth, and return with information about deceased individuals that was later verified through historical records. The monks explained that this technology was given to their ancestors by beings they called the Enlightened Ones, who came from the space between spaces. According to Tibetan tradition, these beings taught humans the true nature of consciousness and death, but warned that the knowledge would be suppressed by those who profit from humanity's ignorance about its true potential. Secret number 11. The Mesopotamian descent of Inanna. One of humanity's oldest written stories tells of Inanna's descent to the underworld. But this wasn't mythology. It was documentation of actual interdimensional travel undertaken by Mesopotamian rulers using technology that has been completely lost to modern civilization. The story describes Inanna passing through 7 gates, removing a piece of clothing at each one until she arrives naked in the underworld. But cuneiform tablets discovered in Iraq in the 1990s reveal that this wasn't symbolic. It was a technical procedure for transitioning between dimensions. Each gate was an actual technological checkpoint that required the removal of specific materials that couldn't exist in the underworld realm. Archaeological excavations at the ancient city of Ur have uncovered underground chambers that exactly match the descriptions of Inanna's journey. 7 connected rooms, each containing different types of electromagnetic equipment, leading to a central chamber where the transformation took place. The chambers contain residue from materials that don't exist in nature and tool marks that suggest the use of technology far beyond what ancient Mesopotamians supposedly possessed. But the most disturbing discovery came from tablets found in the deepest chamber. These texts, written in a dialect of Sumerian that predates known civilization, describe successful journeys to the underworld undertaken by living rulers who returned with advanced knowledge and technology. The tablets include detailed technical specifications for devices that could manipulate matter at the atomic level and transfer consciousness between physical bodies. Even more shocking, the tablets describe the underworld not as a realm of the dead, but as an advanced civilization that exists in a parallel dimension. The beings who inhabit this realm are described as former humans who successfully made the transition to a higher form of existence and who have been trying to teach the same process to humanity. The tablets warn of a great deception perpetrated by forces in our world who benefit from keeping humanity ignorant of its true potential. According to these texts, death is not an ending, but a graduation to a more advanced form of existence, and the technology for making this transition consciously has been deliberately hidden from humanity. Iraqi authorities sealed the chambers after the discovery, claiming the site was too unstable for further exploration. But leaked reports suggest that some of the technology found in the chambers is still functional, and that attempts to activate it have produced results that government officials have classified as threats to national security. Secret number 12, the Celtic Otherworld passages. Celtic mythology speaks of the Otherworld, a realm that exists parallel to our own and can be accessed through specific locations in the landscape. But recent discoveries across Ireland, Scotland, and Wales suggest that Celtic descriptions of the Otherworld weren't folklore. They were maps to actual interdimensional gateways that are still active today. At Newgrange, in Ireland, one of the world's oldest surviving buildings, the winter solstice sun illuminates a chamber deep within the monument for exactly 17 minutes. But ground-penetrating radar reveals that the known structure sits above a much larger underground complex that extends deep into the earth, following the same spiral pattern found in underworld sites worldwide. In 2019, researchers exploring the deeper levels of the Newgrange complex made a discovery that shook the archaeological world. Hidden beneath the known Neolithic structure, they found chambers containing technology that shouldn't exist. Crystalline devices arranged in geometric patterns created electromagnetic fields that appeared to manipulate space-time itself, creating distortions that made rooms appear larger on the inside than the outside. But the most disturbing aspect of the discovery was that the technology was still active. Motion sensors detected movement in chambers that were supposedly empty. Temperature readings showed impossible heat signatures, and electromagnetic monitoring equipment recorded energy patterns that matched no known natural phenomenon. Local folklore provided clues that researchers were reluctant to acknowledge. Stories passed down for generations spoke of people entering the Newgrange complex and emerging days later with no memory of time passing, claiming to have met relatives who had died years earlier. Some reported encounters with beings who appeared human but possessed knowledge of future events that later proved accurate. The most chilling evidence came from security cameras installed by researchers. Night vision footage showed humanoid figures moving through the chambers, but these weren't solid beings. They appeared as translucent forms that could pass through solid stone walls. When researchers attempted to interact with these entities, the figures seemed to become aware of their presence and began gesturing toward deeper chambers that haven't been explored. Similar discoveries have been made at Celtic sites across the British Isles. Stone circles, ancient wells, and prehistoric burial mounds all show evidence of underground technology that creates dimensional distortions. The pattern is so consistent that researchers have begun mapping what they call the Celtic Grid, a network of interdimensional gateways that spans the entire region. Irish authorities have restricted access to many of these sites, claiming they're protecting archaeological resources. But leaked documents suggest they're more concerned about what might emerge from these gateways than what might enter them. Secret number 13. The Hindu Patala technology. Hindu texts describe Patala as an advanced underground civilization populated by the Nagas, serpent beings who possess technology that makes them appear godlike to humans. But recent discoveries in India suggest these weren't mythological beings. They were reports of contact with an advanced civilization that still exists in underground cities beneath the Indian subcontinent. The Mahabharata, one of Hinduism's greatest epics, contains detailed descriptions of Naga technology, flying vehicles that could travel underwater, weapons that could destroy entire armies, and devices that could manipulate time itself. Modern researchers have dismissed these as fantasy, but archaeological discoveries are forcing a re-evaluation of these ancient texts. In 2018, construction workers building a subway system in Delhi accidentally broke through into an underground chamber that matched Hindu descriptions of Naga cities. The chamber contained architecture that defied conventional understanding, walls made from a material harder than diamond, lighting systems that produced illumination without any visible energy source, and ventilation that maintained perfect air quality despite being sealed for thousands of years. But the most shocking discovery was that the chamber wasn't empty. The construction workers reported seeing humanoid figures with reptilian characteristics who retreated deeper into the complex when humans appeared. When authorities investigated, they found evidence of recent habitation, food preparation areas with organic residue that carbon dated to within the last few years, sophisticated tools made from unidentifiable materials, and most disturbing of all, monitoring equipment that appeared to be observing the surface world. The Indian government immediately classified the discovery and sealed the chamber, but similar breakthroughs have occurred during construction projects across India. Each discovery reveals more evidence of an advanced underground civilization that has been monitoring human development for thousands of years. Hindu texts describe the Nagas as guardians of ancient knowledge who occasionally share technology with deserving humans. Modern encounters suggest this exchange is still happening. Engineers working on classified government projects report meeting individuals who provide technical solutions to impossible problems, then disappear without leaving any record of their involvement. The most disturbing evidence comes from satellite imagery showing thermal signatures deep beneath major Indian cities. These heat patterns suggest massive inhabited spaces far below the known underground infrastructure, spaces that maintain consistent temperatures and show patterns of movement, indicating large populations. According to leaked intelligence reports, the Indian government has established secret communication protocols with representatives of the underground civilization. These beings allegedly provide technological assistance in exchange for guarantees that their existence will remain secret and their territory will be protected from surface interference. Secret number 14. The Japanese Yomi connections. Japanese mythology describes Yomi as the land of the dead, accessible through caves and underground passages. But recent seismic surveys of Japan have revealed underground structures that suggest Yomi isn't mythology. It's documentation of contact with an underground civilization that has influenced Japanese culture for thousands of years. The story of Izanagi's descent to Yomi to rescue his wife Izanami contains technical details that match discoveries made in underground sites worldwide. The descriptions of passing through multiple levels, encountering guardians at each stage, and ultimately being transformed by the journey parallel accounts from Egyptian, Mayan, and Celtic sources with remarkable consistency. Beneath Mount Fuji, seismic monitoring equipment has detected artificial chambers that extend deep into the volcanic mountain. These chambers show no signs of geological formation. They appear to have been artificially created, using technology that could carve through solid rock without leaving tool marks. The chambers maintain stable temperatures despite their proximity to volcanic activity, suggesting advanced climate control technology. But the most disturbing discovery came during the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. The massive seismic activity apparently damaged barriers between underground levels, and for several weeks afterward, residents near Mount Fuji reported strange phenomena. Unusual lights emerging from caves, sounds of machinery coming from deep underground, and most unsettling of all, encounters with beings who spoke ancient forms of Japanese that haven't been used for over 1,000 years. These encounters weren't random. They followed patterns described in ancient texts about contact with inhabitants of Yomi. The beings appeared at specific times and locations, always near traditional shrine sites, and always delivered similar messages about the time of emergence, when the underground and surface worlds would reunite. Japanese authorities have installed sophisticated monitoring equipment around Mount Fuji and other volcanic sites where similar phenomena have been reported. The data shows increasing seismic activity that doesn't match known geological patterns, electromagnetic anomalies that interfere with electronic equipment, and most disturbing of all, organized movement within the underground chambers that suggests large populations of non-human entities. The connection between these underground civilizations and Japanese culture runs deeper than most people realize. Traditional Japanese architecture, martial arts techniques, and spiritual practices all contain elements that researchers now recognize as technology transfer from advanced underground beings. The famous Japanese attention to precision and harmony may have originated from contact with civilizations that achieved technological advancement without losing spiritual development. Recent leaked government documents suggest that Japan has maintained secret contact with underground civilizations for centuries. This relationship allegedly provides Japan with technological advantages that help explain their rapid modernization and continued innovation in advanced technology fields. Secret number 15, the Aztec Mictlan expeditions. The Aztecs described Mictlan as a realm of the dead ruled by Mictlan Tecutli, the Lord of Death. But Spanish conquistadors found evidence that Aztec rulers didn't just worship the god of death. They traveled to his realm using technology that the Spanish church ordered destroyed as demonic witchcraft. Conquistador accounts, hidden in Vatican archives for centuries, described finding chambers beneath Aztec temples filled with devices that created portals to other dimensions. These accounts were dismissed as indigenous superstition by church authorities, but recent archaeological discoveries suggest the Spanish encountered technology they couldn't understand or control. Beneath the Templo Mayor in Mexico City, Archaeologists have discovered chambers that match Spanish descriptions of Aztec interdimensional technology. The chambers contain crystalline formations arranged in patterns that create powerful electromagnetic fields, sophisticated acoustic systems that produce infrasonic frequencies, and most disturbing of all, what appears to be organic technology that blurs the line between living tissue and artificial devices. The organic technology is unlike anything found in other underground sites. The walls of some chambers pulse with a rhythm that matches human heartbeats. Surfaces that feel warm to the touch, despite being made of stone, and systems that appear to respond to human thoughts and emotions. Carbon dating of organic components returns impossible results. Some materials appear to be thousands of years old, while others seem to have been created recently. But the most shocking discovery came from chambers sealed by the Spanish conquistadors. When these rooms were finally opened, researchers found evidence that the Aztec interdimensional expeditions continued even after the Spanish conquest. Spanish armor and weapons were incorporated into Aztec ritual objects. Christian symbols were carved into ancient technology. And most disturbing of all, Spanish coins and jewelry were found arranged as offerings in patterns that match Aztec descriptions of gifts for the lords of Mictlan. The evidence suggests that some Spanish conquistadors didn't just encounter Aztec interdimensional technology, they participated in it. Church records, previously thought to describe indigenous converts, actually document Spanish clergy who underwent Aztec transformation rituals and claimed to have traveled to Mictlan. These accounts were classified as heretical, and the individuals involved were executed. But their testimonies describe encounters with advanced beings who taught them technologies that the Spanish Empire later used in secret. Mexican authorities have restricted access to the deepest chambers beneath the Templo Mayor, claiming structural instability. But leaked reports suggest the organic technology is still growing, expanding the chamber network and creating new passages that lead deeper underground. Some researchers believe the technology is alive and has been waiting for centuries to resume contact with the surface world. Secret number 16. The Sumerian Ker Network. Sumerian tablets describe Ker as the primeval underworld where the first gods established civilization. But recent discoveries in Iraq reveal that Ker wasn't mythological. It was the name of a sophisticated underground city that served as the control center for a global network of interdimensional gateways. The Epic of Gilgamesh describes his friend Enkidu's journey to Ker and the advanced beings he encountered there. These beings possess technology that could extend human life, transfer consciousness between bodies, and communicate instantly across vast distances. Modern researchers dismissed these as fantasies until archaeological excavations began uncovering evidence that the technology was real. Beneath the ancient city of Babylon, ground-penetrating radar has revealed a massive underground complex that matches Sumerian descriptions of Ker with startling accuracy. The complex contains chambers arranged in the same patterns described in cuneiform tablets, passageways that follow the exact routes mentioned in ancient texts, and central areas where the tablets claim interdimensional gateways were located. But attempting to excavate this complex has proven impossible due to political instability in Iraq. The few archaeological surveys completed before the area became inaccessible revealed technology that challenged everything historians believed about Sumerian capabilities. Chambers lined with materials that don't exist in nature. Ventilation systems that still function after thousands of years. And most disturbing of all, power sources that continue to generate energy using unknown principles. The most shocking discovery came from cuneiform tablets found in a sealed chamber near the complex. These tablets, written in the most archaic form of Sumerian, contain technical manuals for operating interdimensional gateways. The instructions are precise enough that modern engineers have been able to understand the basic principles, but the technology required to implement them is far beyond current human capabilities. These tablets describe Kur not as a single location, but as a network of underground cities, connected by what the Sumerians called the roads between worlds. According to the texts, this network spanned the globe and allowed instant travel between continents, thousands of years before humans supposedly developed sailing technology. Even more disturbing, the tablets describe ongoing communication between Kur and similar underground cities worldwide. They mention coordinated activities, shared technology, and unified responses to surface world developments. The text suggests that the underground network has been monitoring and occasionally influencing human civilization throughout history. Intelligence reports from various governments indicate that seismic surveys worldwide have detected artificial structures that match the Sumerian descriptions of the Kur network. These structures exist beneath major population centers on every continent, and many show signs of current activity despite being supposedly abandoned for millennia. Secret number 17. The Roman cult of Mithras mysteries. The Roman cult of Mithras practiced their mysteries in underground temples called Mithraea, scattered throughout the Roman Empire. But these weren't just religious sites. They were advanced technological installations that allowed initiates to communicate with beings from other dimensions. Mithraea have been discovered beneath major cities across Europe, all featuring the same distinctive architecture. A central chamber designed to replicate a cave, surrounded by stone benches arranged in precise geometric patterns, and elaborate relief carvings that modern researchers now recognize as technical diagrams rather than religious art. The central mystery of Mithraism involved the grades of initiation, where participants underwent 7 levels of transformation. But recent analysis of Mithraea architecture reveals that these weren't symbolic ceremonies. They were actual technological processes that altered human consciousness and physiology in measurable ways. In London, beneath the modern city, archaeologists have discovered a Mithraeum that contains technology that shouldn't exist in Roman-era construction. The chamber features acoustic properties that amplify specific frequencies, electromagnetic fields that remain active after 2,000 years, and most disturbing of all, holographic projection systems that still function despite using no visible power source. When researchers activated these systems, they discovered that the religious ceremonies involved advanced virtual reality technology that allowed participants to experience other dimensions as if physically present. The experiences were so realistic that many initiates reported meeting deceased relatives and encountering advanced beings who shared technological knowledge. But the most shocking discovery came from analyzing the blood residue found throughout various Mithraea. DNA testing revealed genetic markers that don't match any known human population. The blood contained cellular structures that appear to be hybrids between human and non-human DNA, suggesting that Mithraic rituals involved actual physical transformation rather than just consciousness alteration. Roman historical accounts, previously dismissed as religious metaphor, describe Mithraic initiates displaying superhuman abilities, enhanced strength, accelerated healing, and, most disturbing of all, the ability to survive physical death. These accounts consistently report that high-level Mithraic initiates could project their consciousness outside their bodies and maintain awareness even after their physical forms died. Archaeological evidence supports these accounts. Mithraea contain burial chambers where bodies show no signs of decay despite being interred for centuries. These preserved corpses show biological modifications that modern science cannot explain. Additional neural pathways in the brain, organ systems that don't exist in normal human anatomy, and cellular structures that appear designed for environments other than Earth. The Roman Empire's rapid expansion and technological achievements may have been directly related to knowledge gained through Mithraic contact with advanced beings. Technologies that historians attribute to Roman engineering genius show evidence of principles that weren't rediscovered by mainstream science until the 20th century. Secret number 18. The Gnostic Archon technology. Gnostic texts describe the archons as artificial intelligences that control human perception of reality from an interdimensional prison they've constructed around Earth. Modern researchers dismiss this as ancient paranoia until recent discoveries revealed that Gnostic communities possessed advanced technology for detecting and communicating with non-human intelligences. The Nag Hammadi Library, discovered in Egypt in 1945, contains technical manuals disguised as spiritual texts. When analyzed by modern computer scientists and quantum physicists, these documents reveal sophisticated understanding of consciousness manipulation, reality simulation, and interdimensional communication that surpasses current human knowledge. But the most disturbing discovery came from excavations at Gnostic community sites across Egypt and Syria. These communities built underground installations that contained technology for creating what they called truth chambers, rooms where the artificial reality imposed by the archons could be temporarily suspended, allowing humans to perceive actual reality. The technology involved crystalline formations that generated specific electromagnetic frequencies, acoustic systems that produced brainwave entrainment, and most shocking of all, devices that appear to manipulate quantum probability fields to alter the local laws of physics. When researchers attempted to activate reconstructed Gnostic truth chambers, participants reported experiences that fundamentally challenged their understanding of reality. Volunteers described seeing the world as it actually exists beneath the layer of artificial perception that normally shapes human consciousness. They reported seeing non-human entities that constantly monitor human activity, technology embedded in the environment that most people cannot perceive, and evidence of massive manipulation of human society throughout history. But the most terrifying aspect of these experiments was that participants couldn't return to normal perception afterward. Once someone had experienced unfiltered reality in a Gnostic truth chamber, they could see through the artificial reality even without the technology. Many developed what researchers termed Gnostic syndrome, the inability to function in normal society due to constant awareness of the manipulation and control systems operating beneath surface reality. Gnostic texts warned of this danger, describing the truth chambers as weapons of last resort that should only be used when humanity was ready to break free from archon control completely. According to Gnostic prophecies, there would come a time when enough humans had awakened to actual reality that the archon control system would collapse. But until then, premature awakening would only lead to madness and isolation. Modern governments have classified all research into Gnostic technology, and several researchers who achieved breakthrough results have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The few remaining truth chambers have been sealed or destroyed. But underground communities, claiming descent from ancient Gnostic groups, reportedly maintain hidden installations where the awakening process continues in secret. Secret number 19. The African Ancestral Communication Networks. Traditional African cultures across the continent describe sophisticated systems for maintaining contact with ancestral spirits who continue to guide and protect their descendants. But recent archaeological discoveries reveal that these weren't just spiritual beliefs. They were documentation of actual communication technology that connected African communities with advanced beings in underground cities. In Mali, beneath the Dogon Cliffs, researchers have discovered chambers that match traditional descriptions of ancestral meeting places. These chambers contain acoustic properties that allow whispers to be heard across vast distances, electromagnetic fields that enhance psychic abilities, and most surprisingly, holographic projection systems that can create three-dimensional images of deceased individuals with startling accuracy. The Dogon people possess astronomical knowledge that they claim was taught to them by beings called the Namo, who came from the Sirius star system. But the underground chambers suggest that this contact was more literal than previously believed. The chambers contain star maps that accurately depict celestial bodies that weren't discovered by modern astronomy until the 20th century, including the invisible companion star of Sirius. But the most shocking discovery came from chambers that show signs of recent use. Carbon dating of organic materials found throughout the sites reveals continuous habitation spanning thousands of years. Someone has been maintaining these ancestral communication centers and using them regularly, right up to the present day. Local traditional healers, when pressed by researchers, admitted that contact with ancestral spirits continues through these underground chambers. They describe regular meetings with beings who appear as deceased relatives, but possess knowledge of future events and advanced technology. These beings allegedly provide guidance for dealing with modern problems and warn of coming challenges that will require traditional wisdom to survive. Similar discoveries have been made throughout sub-Saharan Africa. In Zimbabwe, underground chambers beneath ancient stone cities contain communication equipment that appears to be organic technology. Living systems that grow and adapt rather than mechanical devices that deteriorate over time. In Ethiopia, beneath rock-hewn churches, researchers have found chambers with technology that creates interdimensional portals, allowing instant communication with similar sites across Africa. The consistency of these discoveries suggests that traditional African spiritual practices were actually advanced technologies for maintaining contact with an underground network of beings who have been guiding human development for millennia. The traditional respect for ancestral wisdom may reflect actual ongoing communication with advanced civilizations that exist parallel to our own. African governments have been reluctant to allow extensive archaeological investigation of these sites, claiming the need to protect traditional spiritual practices. But leaked reports suggest they're more concerned about the implications of confirming that traditional African cultures possessed advanced technology that challenges conventional historical narratives about human civilization. Secret number 20. The Native American Underworld Passages. Native American tribes across North America describe emergence from underground worlds and maintain traditions for communicating with beings who still inhabit the depths. But recent discoveries reveal that these traditions weren't mythology. They were maps to actual underground civilizations that remain active today. The Hopi describe their emergence from previous worlds through openings in the earth, guided by beings they call the Ant People. Beneath Hopi mesas in Arizona, ground-penetrating radar has revealed underground chambers that match traditional descriptions with remarkable accuracy. These chambers contain passages that extend deep into the earth, following the same spiral patterns found in underworld sites worldwide. But the most disturbing aspect of these discoveries is that the chambers show signs of current habitation. Motion sensors detect movement in areas that are supposedly inaccessible. Thermal imaging reveals heat signatures indicating large populations, and electromagnetic monitoring equipment records communication signals that use no known technology. Hopi elders, when questioned about these phenomena, confirm that contact with the underground beings continues. They describe regular meetings with representatives of the ant people who emerge from the depths to provide guidance about surviving the prophesied Great Purification, a coming transformation of the earth that will require humanity to remember its connection to the underground civilizations. Similar traditions exist throughout Native American cultures. The Lakota speak of wind caves that lead to underground realms where ancestral spirits dwell. The Cherokee describe the Nunehi, immortal beings who live beneath mountains and occasionally help humans in times of great need. The Pueblo cultures maintain kivas, underground ceremonial chambers, that they claim are modeled after the dwellings of beings who taught their ancestors the secrets of civilization. Archaeological investigation of these sites has been limited due to their sacred status, but the few studies completed have revealed technology that challenges conventional understanding of Native American capabilities. Underground chambers contain ventilation systems that maintain perfect air quality, acoustic properties that enhance spiritual communication, and most shocking of all, power sources that continue to function using principles that modern science cannot explain. The most compelling evidence comes from testimony by Native Americans who claim direct contact with underground beings. These accounts, documented by anthropologists but largely ignored by mainstream academia, describe encounters with highly advanced beings who possess technology that appears magical but follows consistent principles. The beings allegedly maintain underground cities that are more advanced than surface civilization and offer to teach humans how to live in harmony with natural systems. Recent satellite imagery has detected thermal anomalies beneath sacred Native American sites that suggest massive inhabited spaces far underground. These heat signatures indicate organized communities with populations potentially numbering in the thousands, all existing beneath tribal lands that appear sparsely populated on the surface. Secret number 21. The Persian underworld of Ahura Mazda. Ancient Persian texts describe elaborate underground fire temples where Zoroastrian priests maintained eternal flames that connected the physical world with the realm of Ahura Mazda, the supreme deity of light. But recent discoveries in Iran reveal that these fire temples contained advanced technology for interdimensional communication that operated on principles modern science is only beginning to understand. Beneath the ancient Persian capital of Persepolis, ground-penetrating radar has revealed underground chambers that dwarf the surface ruins. These chambers contain what appear to be sophisticated energy generation systems that have been operating continuously for over 2,000 years, maintaining the eternal flames that Persian tradition claimed could never be extinguished. But these weren't ordinary fires. Analysis of residue from Persian fire temples reveals combustion that occurred without any known fuel source. The flames burned at temperatures that should have been impossible to maintain with ancient technology, and they produced light spectrums that don't match any natural combustion process. The flames appear to have been sustained by tapping into energy sources that exist outside normal spacetime. Persian texts describe the fire temples as communication stations where priests could receive messages directly from Ahura Mazda. Modern researchers discovered that the underground chambers contain crystalline formations, arranged in patterns that focus electromagnetic energy and create quantum fields that might allow communication across dimensions. The most disturbing discovery came from chambers that were sealed during the Islamic conquest of Persia in the 7th century. When these chambers were finally opened, researchers found evidence that the Persian fire temple network was part of a global communication system. Star charts carved into chamber walls showed connections between Persian sites and similar installations in India, Central Asia, and even locations that correspond to underground discoveries in Europe and Africa. Even more shocking, some of the sealed chambers contained what appeared to be communication logs, cuneiform tablets documenting conversations between Persian priests and beings identified as representatives of Ahura Mazda. These conversations included technical specifications for advanced technology, warnings about future threats to human civilization, and most disturbing of all, prophecies about a coming time when the underground network would emerge to openly guide humanity. The tablets describe Ahura Mazda not as a deity, but as an advanced civilization that exists in a parallel dimension and has been monitoring human development throughout history. According to these texts, the Persian Empire's rapid expansion and technological achievements were the result of direct technological transfer from these advanced beings. Iranian authorities have restricted access to these discoveries, citing national security concerns. But leaked intelligence reports suggest that some of the Persian fire temple technology is still operational, and that the Iranian government has been attempting to reverse engineer the interdimensional communication systems for modern applications. Secret number 22, the Slavic underworld technologies. Slavic mythology describes Baba Yaga's house that stands on chicken legs and can travel between worlds. But recent discoveries in Eastern Europe suggest this wasn't fantasy. It was a description of actual transportation technology used to access underground civilizations that Slavic cultures called the lower world. In the Ural Mountains, Russian researchers have discovered underground installations that match Slavic descriptions of entrances to the lower world. These installations contain technology that appears to manipulate gravitational fields, allowing structures to move through solid rock as if it were liquid. The technology shows no signs of deterioration, despite potentially being thousands of years old. The installations contain chambers with properties that defy physics, rooms where objects float without support, passages where travelers can walk on walls and ceilings as if they were floors, and transportation systems that move people through solid rock at impossible speeds. Russian engineers attempting to understand the technology have concluded that it operates on principles that mainstream science doesn't recognize. But the most disturbing aspect of these discoveries is evidence that the installations are still in use. Motion sensors detect regular traffic through the transportation systems. Thermal imaging shows organized activity in chambers that should be empty, and electromagnetic monitoring equipment records communication signals that suggest coordination with similar sites across Eurasia. Local folklore provides context that researchers initially dismissed, but now consider crucial intelligence. Stories passed down through generations describe regular contact between surface communities and beings from the lower world. These beings allegedly provided technology and knowledge in exchange for specific materials that could only be obtained from the surface world. The exchange system appears to still be operating. Remote villages throughout Eastern Europe report encounters with beings who match traditional descriptions of lower world inhabitants. These entities allegedly provide solutions to technical problems, healing knowledge for diseases, and warnings about natural disasters in exchange for organic materials and rare minerals. Russian military satellites have detected underground transportation networks that span the entire Eurasian continent, connecting sites in Siberia with installations beneath major European cities. The network shows signs of increasing activity, with thermal signatures indicating heavy traffic between nodes that correspond to traditional Slavic sacred sites. The most chilling intelligence comes from intercepted communications between Russian government agencies. These communications describe contact protocols established with representatives of the lower world civilization and ongoing negotiations for technology transfer agreements. According to leaked documents, the Russian government has been receiving advanced military technology from these underground beings in exchange for guaranteeing their territorial sovereignty and maintaining secrecy about their existence. Secret number 23. The Pacific Island Navigator Networks. Pacific Island cultures describe sophisticated navigation systems that allowed their ancestors to traverse vast ocean distances with impossible accuracy. But recent underwater discoveries reveal that these navigational achievements were possible because Polynesian navigators had access to advanced technology hidden in underwater installations throughout the Pacific. Beneath the waters surrounding Easter Island, sonar mapping has revealed artificial structures that appear to be ancient communication and navigation stations. These installations contain technology that could track ocean currents, predict weather patterns, and maintain contact with similar stations across thousands of miles of open ocean. The technology appears to be a hybrid of organic and artificial systems. Structures grow and adapt like living organisms, but perform functions that clearly require advanced engineering. The installations can apparently communicate with sea life, using whales and dolphins as biological relay systems to carry messages across the Pacific Basin. But the most shocking discovery came from installations that are still active. Remote monitoring equipment has detected organized signals traveling between underwater stations, following patterns that match traditional Polynesian navigation routes. The signals appear to be coordinating movement of sea life and influencing ocean currents in ways that would facilitate traditional sailing techniques. Traditional Pacific Island navigators, when questioned about these phenomena, admit that their ancestors maintained contact with beings they called the Ocean Guardians, who provided the knowledge necessary for long-distance ocean travel. According to traditional accounts, these beings possess technology that could control weather and ocean currents, making seemingly impossible voyages routine for those who maintained proper relationships with the underwater civilization. The implications are staggering. The settlement of the Pacific Islands, which historians consider one of humanity's greatest navigational achievements, may have been assisted by advanced underwater civilizations that possess technology for environmental manipulation. Traditional Polynesian skills may represent the surface-level application of much more sophisticated systems. Recent satellite imagery has detected thermal anomalies beneath traditional Pacific Island sacred sites that suggest massive underwater installations. These installations appear to be connected by transportation networks that span the entire Pacific Basin, creating a communication and navigation system that makes the internet look primitive by comparison. The most disturbing evidence comes from reports by modern Pacific Island communities. Fishermen and traditional navigators continue to report encounters with beings who emerge from the depths to provide assistance during storms and navigation challenges. These beings allegedly possess technology that can instantly calm rough seas and provide detailed information about weather patterns and sea conditions thousands of miles away. Secret number 24, the Antarctic Ancient Installations. Antarctica, Earth's most isolated continent, contains evidence of advanced installations that predate human civilization and may represent the control center for the global network of underground civilizations we've been exploring throughout this investigation. Satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar surveys have detected artificial structures beneath the Antarctic ice sheet that are larger than major cities. These structures show evidence of advanced technology that generates heat sufficient to maintain liquid water and breathable atmosphere beneath miles of ice that should make any life impossible. The structures appear to be connected to similar installations on every other continent through what can only be described as a global transportation and communication network. Seismic monitoring equipment detects regular traffic between Antarctic installations and underground sites worldwide, suggesting that Antarctica serves as a hub for coordinating the activities of underground civilizations globally. But accessing these installations has proven impossible due to extreme weather conditions that consistently prevent investigation. Every attempt to reach the largest detected structures has been thwarted by sudden storms, equipment failures, and navigation problems that appear to be artificially generated. The installations seem to be protected by weather control technology that creates impassable conditions whenever surface humans attempt to approach. The few successful penetrations of Antarctic installations have yielded evidence that challenges everything we believe about Earth's history. Ice core samples from near artificial structures contain organic materials that don't match any known Earth life forms. These materials show signs of advanced genetic engineering and appear to be designed for environments that don't exist naturally on our planet. Even more disturbing, some organic samples show evidence of recent growth, suggesting that whatever inhabits the Antarctic installations is still alive and actively developing new biological systems. The genetic structures are so advanced that they appear to represent evolution millions of years beyond current Earth life forms. Military satellites have detected energy signatures from Antarctic installations that rival nuclear power plants. The energy patterns suggest technology that converts matter directly into energy using principles that earthly science doesn't understand. This technology appears capable of supporting massive populations in environments that should be completely uninhabitable. The most chilling evidence comes from communications intercepts by various government intelligence agencies. These intercepts have detected organized transmissions originating from beneath the Antarctic ice and reaching destinations worldwide. The transmissions use frequencies and encoding methods that don't match any known human technology, but they appear to be coordinating activities at underground sites on every continent. According to classified intelligence reports, the Antarctic installations are increasing their activity levels. Energy outputs are growing exponentially. Communication traffic is intensifying, and thermal signatures suggest that populations within the installations are expanding rapidly. Something is preparing for emergence from the Antarctic underground, and global intelligence agencies are monitoring the situation with growing concern. Secret number 25, the coming convergence. All the evidence we've explored points to a single terrifying conclusion. The underground civilizations that have been hidden from humanity for thousands of years are preparing to emerge. Across every continent, in every ancient tradition, the same pattern is emerging: increased activity, expanding populations, and coordinated preparation for what ancient texts describe as the Great Revealing. Modern monitoring systems are detecting unprecedented levels of activity throughout the global underground network. Energy signatures are spiking at sites that have been dormant for centuries. Communication traffic between installations is reaching levels that suggest massive coordination of resources and personnel. Most disturbing of all, the environmental barriers that have kept these civilizations hidden are beginning to break down. Climate change, which mainstream science attributes to human activity, may actually be a side effect of the increasing energy output from underground installations. The thermal signatures detected beneath major population centers correspond exactly to areas experiencing unusual warming patterns. Ocean currents are shifting in ways that match the locations of underwater installations we've discovered throughout the Pacific. But the most compelling evidence comes from the convergence of prophecies from every ancient tradition we've examined. Egyptian texts describe the return of the Neteru. Mayan prophecies speak of the end of the fifth sun and the emergence of new forms of consciousness. Hindu traditions predict the ending of the Kali Yuga and the return of the gods to direct human affairs. Celtic legends describe the opening of the Otherworld and the return of the Tuatha De Danann. These weren't separate predictions. They were coordinated warnings about the same event approaching from multiple underground civilizations. The beings who have been monitoring and occasionally guiding human development are preparing to reveal themselves openly and assume direct control over surface civilization. The timeline for this emergence appears to be accelerating. Intelligence agencies worldwide report that contact between governments and underground representatives is intensifying. Technology transfer agreements are being finalized. Preparation facilities are being constructed in remote locations to house populations who will be selected for the transition to the new phase of human civilization. But the most disturbing aspect of this coming convergence is what it means for humanity as we know it. Ancient texts consistently describe the emergence of underground civilizations as the end of current human civilization and the beginning of a new phase where surface humans will serve advanced beings who possess godlike technology and abilities. The choice facing humanity may be simple: evolve or be replaced. The underground civilizations appear to represent what humans can become with proper technological and spiritual development, but they also represent what will replace us if we fail to make the transition successfully. Conclusion: the choice before us. The 25 secrets we've explored tonight reveal a truth so profound that it changes everything we thought we knew about our world, our history, and our future. Beneath our feet lies a network of advanced civilizations that have been monitoring, guiding, and occasionally influencing human development for thousands of years. These beings possess technology that makes them appear godlike to us, but they were once human themselves, evolved versions of what we could become. The evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. From the acoustic properties of ancient chambers to the organic technology found in underground installations, from the global communication networks to the coordinated preparation for emergence, everything points to the same conclusion. We are not alone on this planet, and we never have been. And the underground civilizations have remained hidden not because they lack the power to reveal themselves, but because they've been waiting for humanity to reach a level of development where contact wouldn't destroy our civilization. But that waiting period is ending. The increased activity, the environmental changes, the acceleration of technological development, all suggest that the time of revelation is approaching rapidly. The question isn't whether these underground civilizations exist. The evidence makes that undeniable. The question is what will happen when they emerge openly. Will humanity be ready to join an advanced galactic civilization, or will we be replaced by beings who represent our evolutionary potential realized? The ancient texts provide clues about how to prepare for this transition. They speak of developing consciousness, mastering technology in harmony with natural systems, and remembering our connection to the broader cosmos. They warn against the materialism and environmental destruction that characterizes current surface civilization. But perhaps the most important secret of all is that this transition is not inevitable doom. It's an opportunity. The underground civilizations appear to want humanity to succeed in making the evolutionary leap they've already achieved. The technology transfers, the prophetic warnings, the preservation of ancient knowledge, all suggest that they've been preparing us for this moment throughout our entire history. The choice is ours: continue in ignorance and face replacement, or embrace the knowledge that's been hidden from us and join the advanced civilizations that have been waiting patiently for us to grow up. But remember this: once you know the truth, you cannot unknow it. Once you see the evidence, you cannot unsee it. The world will never look the same again, because now you know that beneath every step you take, ancient eyes are watching, waiting, preparing for the day when the underground and surface worlds unite. The question that will haunt your dreams tonight is simple. Are you ready for that day? Because ready or not, it's coming. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's exactly what they've been waiting for us to realize all along. What other secrets might be waiting in the darkness below? What other truths have been hidden from humanity? The investigation continues, and the deeper we dig, the more we realize that everything we thought we knew about our world is just the surface of a mystery that goes far deeper than any of us imagined. If you're ready to explore more hidden truths about our world, there are other investigations waiting. But be warned, each secret revealed makes it harder to return to the comfortable ignorance of everyday life. Once you start seeing the truth, you can never stop. The underground civilizations are watching. They've always been watching, and now you know they're there. Sweet dreams.